Okay, welcome, amazing trader.
All right,
Welcome
let's
to
start.
this live session. Welcome to the Simple Trader community. So, in this training, we're going to be talking about the charts, how to understand the forex charts. So, today we're going to move first into supply and demand. Mr. John Bosco, are you there?
I'm there, Mr. Juro. Can you hear me good there?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. So, this is the voice of the Simple Trading Professor. And right now, Mr. John Bosco is going to take us through the supply and demand. So, Mr. John Bosco, over to you.
Awesome. All right. In today's video, we're going to be looking at supply and demand, of which this is going to be the next thing we're going to be discussing. But first of all, I'm going to be explaining to you supply and demand in economics, and supply and demand in forex. I have two explanations I'm going to make in this video, and so you can understand what supply and demand is. Now let's start. Now, if today is the first time watching our videos, please feel free to join our community. And if you're watching this on YouTube, like our videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and turn on the bell notification. Now, the law of supply and demand is a theory that seeks to explain the relationship between the availability and desire for a product, such as a security, and its price. Typically, low availability and high demand boost the price of an item, and high availability and low demand reduce its price. Now, let me give you an example. This is like economics 101, whereby that maybe there's a particular pen people want to buy, and a lot of people want to buy that pen, and the pen is not really available. What do you think will happen to the price of the pen? If the pen was selling for maybe 100 naira, the price can shoot up to 1,000 naira because of what? So much demand of the pen. So now the same thing happened whereby that there is a pen, there is a lot of pen. The pen is mass produced, but people are not demanding for it. What do you think will happen to the price of that pen? It will actually go to the price of it will go down. Now, let me also make you to understand. For example, the way the price of fuel in Nigeria. The reason why it's that is because a lot of people want to buy fuel because they want to move from one place to another. They want to use fuel for different things. A lot of things can be affected by the price of fuel. Now, there is so much demand of fuel, and that is why the price is going up. Now, if there is no much demand of it, the price will not go up. So, what is in the market that doesn't have so much demand, and the price is kind of like static? Looking at it, let's just say water. Water is not that expensive anywhere in the world, in as much as there are some part of the world they don't have a clean water, but the major part of the world, water is not that expensive. And this same thing happened in the financial market. As you can see, the law affect the financial market by determining the prices of individual assets that makes up the market. So this is just for you to understand supply and demand, in just economics terms, whereby that people is the price people buy things. People want to buy things cheap. When the price of something goes up, there's a perception that the price needs to come down before they purchase. So this is just what supply and demand is. If there is so much supply and less demand from the people, the price will go down. Now, if there is low supply and more demand from the users, the price will go up. So this is just economics 101. So let me just now explain what supply and demand mean in forex trading or financial market trading, whether crypto market or any other market you are interested in. All right, so welcome back. This is my personal explanation of supply and demand in the forex chart or in the forex market. What are forex supply and demand zones? You can also put it that way. Forex supply and demand zones refer to areas on the chart where the price movement of a currency pair is likely to experience a change in direction due to an imbalance between buyers and sellers. These zones pop up on the chart when there is a significant increase in buying or selling pressure. When the price of a financial asset approaches this level again, traders can often look for trading opportunities based on the expectation that the price will either reverse or continue in the same direction. Now, this is just what supply and demand means in trading. Now, let's say, for example, let me just draw it so you can actually see what I just explained. Let's say we had a market moving to the upside like this, creating higher highs and higher lows. This is not a good explanation, but let me try my best. and we had a kind of maybe price push up down here. The price is low. Now a lot of traders have seen that this market was going up from here. Let me take this off. This market was going up from here, and all of a sudden the price went down from here. Yeah, price went down from here. Now what many traders will be waiting for is to wait for price to come back to this area, and they are expecting for price to fall. So that is what supply and demand is. So they are kind of like waiting for the price to push up and get to this place, and a lot of traders were looking for selling opportunity to expect price to go to the downside. Now this can happen both in uptrend and downtrend, but I just show you an explanation. But we're going to go to the chart for you to see, everything how it works. This is just a kind of like a diagram of how it works. It is where the price usually turn, whereby that if we are in an uptrend and the price get to a supply level, we're actually expecting price to go down if it happens on a higher time frame. Now supply and demand can also be called support and resistance. They are the same thing. Some people call it order block. They are the same thing. Some people call it institutional candle. They are the same thing. All you need to do is to understand the simple term. You can call it supply and demand or support and resistance. So support and resistance is actually the oldest thing people call it in the market. So they are actually the same thing. But you need to identify those levels on a higher time frame, because they are more significant on a higher time frame than on the lower time frame. And the thing is this: the market forms supply and demand or support and resistance or order block or institutional candles almost everywhere in the chart. But the one that has more effective and has a chance of reacting in the market is the higher time frame structures. And that is why I always look out for the higher time frame structures. Now, if you're looking for maybe a supply level, for you to see a supply level, now you first of all see a series of candle going up, and another candle, a very big candle that will just drop the price to the downside. And now in those areas, it is called a supply level. I'm going to show you that. Now the same thing happened on a demand level, whereby that the market is going down. All of a sudden, price just all of a sudden push the market to the upside. Everything that happened in those region is called demand area. I'm going to be showing you all of these things in the chart, but I just want you to understand. Now, this is what I just explained. The market is going up. Let me stop this here. The market is going up. All of a sudden, a candle just come and push the price to the downside. Now, all this area is called supply region. Now, we're expecting that if price come back to this region again, for the market to come to the downside. So you can actually call it support and resistance. Some people call it ceiling and the floor. All of these things are the same thing, but you just need to understand it's the same meaning. Now you need to know how to interpret it so you can actually trade it effectively in the chart. Now let me go down to explain this thing in details so you can understand that supply and demand can form in different degrees. Like I said, if you go to 1 hour time frame, you will see it almost everywhere. And that's why most traders get confused. Which supply and demand can I trade the market from? Which one would I trade? All of these things are questions people are asking because they don't know where to trade the market from, either to buy or to sell, because supply and the market and demand appears everywhere in the chart. And that is why I always recommend people looking out for areas of supply and demand on the daily, sometimes on the 4 hour, because these two areas respect effectively. So let's go to more explanation so you can understand what I'm saying. All right, welcome back to this video. This is more explanation of supply and demand, but we're going to be starting from supply so you can understand what supply is all about. Now I will have to find this picture to be able to explain what supply and demand is. Now this is what I talked about. For us to be able, for market to create a supply level, this is what will happen. We will see a bullish movement, which is this candle is a bullish candle. You can see this bullish candle that are printed. We printed another bullish candle. We printed another bearish candle. We had another bearish candle. Then we had a very massive bearish candle. Now, this kind of activity is called a supply. Now, from this, bullish movement that started from here to the top here is being seen as supply region. You can see it's all dotted where you can see this dot. So if you want to mark your supply region, it will be from this bottom here to this top where the selling started. So this region is being seen as what? Supply level. Now, whereby that if prices start going down and whenever price come back to this same region, we're expecting price to go to the downside. Now, that is what supply is all about. So it's made up of what? Rally, base, drop. Now, this is the rally. This is this, kind of like a cool off base. Though this is drop. Now, this is what we call it: rally, base, drop. The market, you can see this candle have obviously engulfed this previous bullish candle. You can see this is called a supply level. Now we're going to go to the chart to see this. I'm going to go to the chart to show you this. So you have seen how supply level forms. If you go to all the time frame, 1 hour, daily, 4 hour, 1 minute, you will see this kind of candle everywhere. But the one that is most significant is the daily chart and the 4 hour, and even on the weekly chart. So it is very important for you to be able to identify directions of the market on the higher time frame, which is daily, 4 hours, sometimes weekly. I usually do weekly analysis by the end of the week. So you need to understand where the market is and what the market could possibly do. So it's important to have all these things in your mind and to know what you are doing while you are trading. So that's all for supply. Let me show you demand. Welcome back. This video explains demand area. As you can see, the price of the market is going down. We went down again. We push up, push up again. Now guess what? What do we do next? We massively pushed up to the upside. Now from where this place we started selling off to where the market engulfed it, all of this region is called demand area. Now we're expecting the market to push up. Now we are not chasing the price or trying to place buy immediately. You can place buy immediately and make profit, but we're actually patiently waiting for the market to come back to this region again where this black dot is. Once the market come back to this area, we're expecting for price to push up. Now guys, I like to trade supply and demand on the higher time frame. You can also call it support and resistance. Some people will call this thing order block. Some people will call this thing institutional candles. Some people, a lot of names. But the simplest term is supply and demand and support and resistance. Personally, I'm kind of like familiar with supply and demand. So, but if you're familiar with support and resistance, it's still the same thing. For me, I actually mark out this zone. This is why I like calling it supply and demand, is because I will mark out these levels where all these things happen, and I wait for market to tap into those regions. If market taps into that region or that level, I'll start looking at how price action is reacting for me to know either I'm going to take a position or to stay away. So it is important that you understand this. So it's still the same thing, which is we have base and we have massive rally. This is for demand. We have a drop, a base, and a rally. So it is important for you to understand this. This diagram actually explains everything. I don't know if you have any question, but I'm going to go straight to the chart to show you supply and demand. Let's go to the chart right now. Before we go to the chart, I want to show you another picture. I just see this as another great explanation for you to see. Then this is for demand. This first one is for demand. Then this is for supply. We had a drop, then we had a base, then we had a rally. All of this area is called a demand area. Now this is for supply. We had a rally, we have a base, which is this candle, then we had a drop. So it can also form in this format for you to also bear that in mind. I'm going to show you that in the chart. Now let's go straight in the chart. Okay, so this is a supply and demand in the charts, which I'm about to explain right now. As you can see, this is AUD USD. We saw this massive bullish movement, and you can see the way we just start dropping from here. Now look at what the market did. The market dropped from here and push back up again and get to that same area, and guess what happened? We dropped. Now it's expected that this market has potential of dropping to the downside up until to get to this demand area, or to tap at this demand area. Any of the two had potential chances of happening. Now this is what I'm explaining to you, because if you go to lower time frame, you will see a lot of supply and demand everywhere. Like, it is everywhere. The question is, which one should you trade? And that is actually a very big confusion, and that is what is affecting a lot of traders. When I got started earlier, I was having this difficulty until I start to focus on higher time frame and stay away of lower time frame, because lower time frame has low quality setup trades, which is, you need to be mindful of those lower time frame trades you are taking. Now let's go to lower time frame to look at this level to see what happened. Let me go to 4 hours. Now this is 4-hour time frame. As you can see, this was what we are looking at for. As you can see, we had a lot of supply and demand area everywhere, like it is everywhere. Let me show you supply and demand areas so you can see what I'm talking about. This is a good area. Like for this area, this is a supply, this is a supply. All of these things are called supply levels. Now you can see, imagine that you want to trade this. Where can you trade the market from? That is one thing you need to understand. And the same thing on the demand side, where can you trade the market from? That is why I like marking out the higher time frame owns. If I mark out the higher time frame supply and demand areas, it helps me in knowing where to trade from. You can imagine me trying to buy the market here. For example, I say like, okay, this is a demand, and I put a buy limit here, and guess what? The market went up, and guess what? The market went down. Now guess what? Imagine I put a buy limit here. What happened? We smash down. This particular demand, I think we didn't get here, but we'll tap into this level. That was when we push up and push down. Now even if this particular one, for example, even if I want to take this long, there's a way I will take this long on the daily time frame, of which I'm going to be explaining to you guys. When a new demand or supply is created newly on a daily, if you try to take it immediately, you might actually be on loss. Yeah, you need to know that. Because for example, if we are in a bearish market like this, and all of a sudden you see a bullish candle close, that doesn't mean that the market is about to go up. It means that this is just a retracement for the market to keep going to the downside. So I'm going to be showing you that on the daily time frame, some of the failed supply and demand areas, that these are places you'll be like, oh, the market has turned bullish, let me start buying. No, you just have to wait. Now if you look at what the market did, the market, trying to, as much as possible, drop to this area. Imagine trying to sell from here. Let's say you wanted to sell from here. You are like predicted sell, and you put a sell here. This is 4-hour time frame. This is not daily, this is just 4 hour. And you put a sell here, and guess what happened? The market got to this place, and guess what? Smashed to the upside. Imagine if you put a sell here. This is also another area to put sell. A lot of people must have put this sell here. Guess what? Because this movement and this drop will confuse a lot of people. They might go a lot of sell position here, put a lot of sell position, and guess what? The market push up. But look at, once the market gets to daily supply, this is the daily. Immediately it got there, we can see we ranged for a while. This is a ranging market. Let me show you. You can see the market went up, went down, went up. Guess what? From there it start going to the downside. So this is just supply and demand, and why I like looking at it on the higher time frame. This is not the only example. Let me show you other example on this same AUD USD. You can see how the market got to this supply level. If it gets there, it drops. It push up again, that same region, it drops. Push up again, that same region, it drops. You understand? Now someone will be like, oh, we broke this supply level. Yeah, you need to understand direction of the market to know what you're doing. You trade this thing in direction of the market, not against the trend. You need to understand the trend. Obviously this was a clear downtrend, judging from this movement. So all of these things are just correction for the market to keep going to the downside. But look at the way we just drop here. Once we got here, the market changed in direction. Now look at it now. Imagine if you put a sell limit here. Once the market gets here to drop, definitely the market will hit you out on loss. But how do you approach supply and demand areas? You need to mark out those areas you want to sell from, and wait for price to get there and see how price is reacting on those areas on a higher time frame. Now once you see that the price is reacting and you are seeing some bearishness sign, this is when you now hit your sell button or your buy button, depending on what you're looking at. So look at this same area. Imagine trying to put a sell limit here. You can see the market reacted sell, but guess what? We are in a very massive bullish movement. Massive bullish movement. And guess what? We tapped into this, supply level. We return back to this same area, and guess what? Went down. So all of these things have been happening time without number. You can see the same thing. The market pushed away, get back to the same region, drop. So it happens over and over again. So you just need to understand how to analyze it. And I highly recommend daily time frame. I keep talking about it since we started this trend identification mastery. I always talk about daily time frame. Daily time frame is one of the best time frame to be able to identify trends or reversal in the market. So let me show you other example on EuroCAD for you to see that the same thing happened almost in all the markets, be it crypto. You can see I didn't even mark this one. Look at it. The market pushed away. Let me just get this too. You can see the market pushed away from this level, came back to that same area, to that same supply where it dropped from, and guess what? It dropped again. Went back to that same area. Guess what? It dropped again. Then gets this area. This is a newly created supply. This is a newly created supply. Now there's a way I'm going to trade this. That is a way I'm going to trade this, and I'm not going to make loss on it. So and guess what? We'll get there, we'll drop. So this is what the market is actually doing every single time, creating supply and demand. You can see market created this supply, this demand, push up, came back to this same region, push up again. You can see the market doing the same thing. We push up, drop, we created a supply level here, we dropped, we came back to that same supply, we drop again. Now this bullish movement came back to you can see this was a previous movement. We came back to that same region. All of this area are levels. You can see we came back to that same place and push up again. You can see we massively pushed up and come back to this area. Now this market is a bullish market. I'm not going to put a sell here. It doesn't make sense to put a sell limit here. But that doesn't mean that we cannot see some reaction. We can see some reaction, or we might not see some reaction. All of those things are possible. Now the only time I'm going to be looking for sell is when we get to this this area, this one on top here, this supply level. This is when I'm going to be looking for the market to start going to the downside. So obviously I'm waiting for pullback for me to take this trade to the long to the upside. So it is very important you understand supply and demand. This is where you see a sell before a big buy. Now a sell before a big buy is a demand or a support. Now a buy before a big sell is a supply, which is this example. Let me show you this example very clearly. All right, let me get this. Let me make this thing bigger so you can understand what I'm talking about. All right, so this was a sell. This black candle was a sell before this big buy. Obviously this is a demand area or a support area or other block area, whatever you want to call it. The market came back down to that same region. Guess what? It reacted, it pushed away. Now this was the same thing I told you guys. Imagine that we're in a selling market like this. This is an uptrend. For example, you see this blue candle now, thinking that the market will start going up. Now guess what? The next day the market smashed down and went to the downside. You need to understand when to take trades. Like there is no way you should take this kind of entries, because this is just a pullback for trend for the market to keep going to the downside. But immediately the market gets to this demand area, you can see this demand. We saw a push up, we saw the candle rejecting. The next day we pushed away. So that is for you to see how demand and supply works. So I believe you got value in this video. If you got value, hit the like button, hit on the subscribe button, and turn on the post notification. Now if you have any question, drop it on the comment section or ask any of our community members. We're going to attend to you. See you in the next video.